Hello and welcome to UKVersus. We've had a hell of a week with TMNT trailers, TMNT accessories, as I've got up on my thumbnail for where I go over those. We've got Drive, we've had bans, we've had lots of changes in the community dynamics. It's just been one hell of a week with a sold out regional as well. So we're going to quickly talk about the week, but then we're going to talk about regionals, what's changed, and why Louisville sold out, whereas Albuquerque, Denver, Chelmsford, Melbourne didn't break 100. I am, as always, joined by UVS Hermit, aka Cameron, who is back from another one of his many trips. And we are joined by Connor of the Dobbers to give us the perspective of an EU player who's actually been to EU regionals this year.
That's true. I have.
So, yeah, and I thought it would also be great to talk about Spain upcoming, but we can get into that as we break things down. So, let's start off with the most hype thing we had this week. TMNT. The trailer dropped. It looks absolutely amazing. I had to eat a humble pie because April and Splinter... I denied it in my video, but they're pretty much guaranteed to be characters at this point. So I humbly apologize to everyone in the Patriot Discords and everyone who's called me out where I've said that Splinter isn't important enough to have a character. I am sorry. Splinter is, of course, a great father, a great character, and although we wouldn't have had a character if we'd have had everything... from what we're adapting from, it makes sense for him to have a character. Is that good enough, Connor?
Not in the slightest. My faith never faltered. He was in my video. So was April.
Yeah, but you got a lot of things wrong in your video that I got right.
Currently we don't know, right? Listen, yeah. Callum the chicken could still be in this set, right?
He could 100% still be in there. As long as Genghis Frog is in there, I'm happy. Mike's happy, and a lot of other people are going to be happy because Genghis Frog is a great character. But we also got the accessories. The Gamegenic sleeves look absolutely amazing. The 4 mats are very cool, coming from different kind of eras and aspects. The mute animals is possibly my favorite. But having the turtle power sleeves and mat kind of matching is going to look so hype at events.
I agree.
How did you feel about the trailer, Cameron?
I really like that they're doing trailers now. I loved when they did it for like Critical Role. Did they do a trailer for Attack on Titan?
They did a trailer for Attack on Titan 1.
Okay.
It was kind of like an animatic, not an anime of the manga coming to life in the cards. Kind of, like when I did the transition of the cards coming to cards, it was inspired by the trailer where it had like the cards almost being animated and like an animatic, not animated, into it. Yeah. And it was because it was where we got the like on that day they learned they remember what it was like. It felt like to be dominated by them. It was all part of the trailer. This was like a year ago. It makes sense, but yeah, having the trailers to I think it's just when we get new IPs kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I would love to see that thrown in like YouTube ads or Twitch ads.
Yeah.
I think that would really help get the information out there. Having it just on the website or the their YouTube channel is cool because then we could share it around. But I'd love to see a little bit more mass marketing with that if there was a way to do that. I think that'd be a really cool way to get things through. I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here. I was never really big into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Even growing up, I loved like the Turtles in Time SNES classic game, the arcade games. I loved that. Never really got into the show very much. I loved the first live action movie though. That movie still holds up. So I was really excited to see what they were going to do. Obviously, I haven't seen this new show that they're doing, and I'm not a huge fan of the art style, but hey, if it gets more people to come to my shop and play Universus, so be it. Let's go. Turtle power.
I mean, the 80s cartoons were just were adverts for toys. It basically got cancelled in the early 90s because a new law got passed that said for cartoons to be on in America before a certain time, they had to have some kind of message or education from, which is why you start getting that message of the week, or like, what did we learn this week kind of thing in cartoons, because America's
taught me that nunchucks are very hard weapons to use.
Yeah, but you know, like how G.I. Joe was a toy advert, but they always learned something at the end of the episode. It's because they legally had to, whereas TMNT just went, yeah, we've run long enough, we made enough money, we're not adding lessons.
Again, nunchucks very hard to use. I learned that the hard way.
How about yourself, Connor? Did it fulfill everything you wanted for the trailer?
Yeah, it definitely did. Like, I think the thing with these trailers is it's just like they need to do it for like every set. Just everything. Just have like that little bit of visual promotion that you can throw about. And it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so like I was already sold. Like it could have just been like a one cue card thing, and I would have said it's perfect.
I do think Cameron's right in the aspect of I would like to see more of this. Like if I was watching your Dead by Daylight streams and I get hit by the Twitch ads and it goes, "Oh, you like Universus, so here's the TMNT trailer," kind of thing. Like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Side note: I also want Twitch to be able to put a Universus thing for us instead of like just chatting or gaming. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Universus.
So card games can't. It has to have. So I saw Riftbound got one, and I went down a rabbit hole as to like, if Riftbound's got one, can we get one? And I accidentally got the Riftbound one deleted.
Oh, but they'll probably get it back if they create that online client. Though.
Yes, that's the way it goes down. So I was like in their server, I was chatting with them, and like, oh no,
you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Riftbound was a digital game. Riot acquired the rights of the digital game. They changed the logo, so Twitch changed the logo to the new Riftbound, thinking it was a digital game. I found out, no, this is a card game. So can we get Universus?
Oh, click.
So I was like, poof, we're going to get rid of the Riftbound one until they have a digital client. The reason things like Digimon and One Piece and other things can have it is because they have an interactive demo. So rather than like what we have on Diced, where it's all following a script, if you're allowed to make choices and essentially play against a bot, that's all the qualifications you need to get a Twitch category.
Which is possibly quite achievable for UVS Games to do.
But it's also an expense on top of everything else they're currently paying out for. And it's probably not top of their things, but it would still be very cool to do.
Especially if you're doing in-person demos and like a lot of people are like, oh, I don't have time to practice. Practicing against an interactive demo online could be a good additional teaching tool.
Yeah. It'd be one of those things that when we brought up at this first summit, and then people have been bringing it up quite a lot. When you've got like the demo decks, you could have these digital demo decks, and you could have them from across IPs, and you could have characters that get progressively more difficult to play, and introduce more and more mechanics. So you can start off with your basic deck with just attacks and foundations, then you introduce assets, then you introduce backups, then you introduce actions, which no one's going to argue with me that is the most difficult to learn how to use. And then
I often tell people actions just tell you when you can play them.
Yeah. So I think that's a very
cool thing. How do I play
thing.
this? Just read the card. It'll tell you.
Yeah. I think that's a very cool thing we could get, but it's one of those things that I'd rather see a judge program coming first before an interactive demo.
Yeah, priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we also... So that's the TMNT stuff. I love the Gamegenic stuff. Everyone's been kind of hyped on the Gamegenic accessories. We had the Bans and Erratas come down. We had functional erratas for a lot of cards that either didn't work or just were kind of badly worded. Not badly worded, but confusingly worded. And Nick Reagan got touched, which is what people have been asking for. He's now twice returned on his...
2 days before I recorded my video.
So
I had the script prepared, and I waited because I remembered there was a Bans and Errata list, and I'm glad I waited.
So last week...
Didn't stop me from screwing up, though.
Last week, after we finished recording, I'm talking with Cameron about what videos we've got coming up, and he goes, I've got a new series I'm working on, but I have to wait for Bans and Erratas. And
Glad I did.
I honestly, compared to like MHA, like 2022, 2023 MHA erratas, they've got so much better at errataing cards and characters to make them still playable. Nick Reagan could still get top 8 from these abilities.
Bertolt's 1 just made top 8 in the webcam, the TAM and Let's Talk UVS webcam circuit, even after he got errated.
Yeah, but both balls got errated. But yeah, I mean, Kirishima made tops from Kai, different Kai than Little Kai, after his errata. Younger's not really done anything since being errated, but made tops at OCE and beat Justin Birch in top 8 after the errata.
After the errata, yeah.
I think the main thing holding him back though is Ruin. I think that's the main thing holding him down.
Yeah, but yeah, it's quite long, but it's just great to see they're kind of having that power balance. And it's, as much as I love to shill for UVS and like pump them up, I was watching a video talking about Dungeons and Dragons with Wizards of the Coast versus Downington Press and Daggerheart, and the new way that companies are pushing themselves forward and are be able to distinguish themselves from the older companies is listening to the community. It's something Riftbound's doing. It's something that Riot's done with Riftbound. It's something that UVS is doing. It's something that Daggerheart's doing through Downington Press. They're listening to the people that are buying the product and are playing the game for the direction to move the game into. They're not listening to experts or like the experts or the stuff like the old heads that have been around for multiple generations. They're listening to it. It's something that Jasco and UVS have always kind of excelled at listening to us. And now we're actually seeing kind of the fruits of that. Regionals are improving, events are improving, OP's improving, Shimlines are now on the hit list. Now people can shut up about them.
I'll be honest, I never noticed them until you guys and the rest of the community started pointing them out, and now I see them everywhere.
So
that was entirely my problem as well.
Blissfully ignorant, and I did not give a flying flip about Shimlines.
One of the best things I saw was when we had Heroes of Exandria, there was loads of people on TikTok and YouTube opening them up, and not a single person mentioned the print lines and the shim lines. And I'm not being the person to shatter that glass. I'm just like, yeah, great pulls, great art. It's absolutely amazing. I'm like, I'm not going to be the guy that shatters your glass and like points that out to you if you're having fun with this, because once that's shattered, you can't say. And there are people who, unironically, like myself and Brody and Brody one, aka Chris Smith, who unironically enjoy shim lines. I think they're quite cool, especially if they're right down the middle. But would I be sad if they completely disappeared from the game? Not particularly.
I don't care one way or the other. As long as the card's playable, I don't care.
But
yeah,
do we actually have anything to talk about the Nick Reagan apart from I think he's got twice per turn? Apart from that,
I would like to take this moment to say that if anyone has seen my Nick Reagan how to handle video, first of all, thank you, Brett, for helping me with the thumbnail. I was really struggling with that. Second of all, I need to issue a public correction. Sealing the attack will not work to stop Nick Reagan from playing the enhance on a removed card. I misread the card initially and figured I knew what it did from there. And yeah, sealing doesn't work. It's not giving the attack the extra enhance. It's Nick Reagan activating the enhance from the removed zone.
yeah.
So public correction. I screwed up. I apologize, but I'm not going to edit the video because I don't edit and that would take way too long. So there is a correction from Nick and myself down in the comments of the video, and I would just like to put that out here. I did screw up. I promise better work in the future. This was my first how to handle video, and I was really stressed out about it, so I made a mistake.
What you need to do is you need to coordinate with Nick and record a part 2 where Nick can kind of like explain it to you. But,
I still need to figure out how to record other people's audio.
But it's a...
Because someone owes me OBS lessons.
I do. I keep having to write because ever since I moved over to Video Ninja, it's so much easier. But yeah, don't thank me for the thumbnail stuff, man. It's all thanks to Hitch and UVS from the summit. They spent a long time in the content section talking to us about thumbnails, and I'm more than happy to pass that information on. Like in the content creator channel, I was saying that this is the stuff basically we were told, so this is to pass it on from there. I don't make the best thumbnails out there. There are people out there that make much better thumbnails than me, but I'm more than happy to tell people how to do it, even if I don't do it myself.
Well, just getting all the stuff, the design wise, you kind of like reached into my head what I was trying to figure out.
Oh yeah.
And how I wanted it to look, and you're like, hey, how about this? I'm like, that's perfect. And then you were kind enough to send me the materials for it. So just real thank you.
No.
And so for the foreseeable future, all of the how to handle videos are going to have thumbnail via UKVersus.
It's as Christmas says, it's rising tides floats all ships. We all help each other out here. There is one thing that Nick Reagan did get this week, even at post-errata. He got the ability to attack in your opponent's turn. So that twice per turn does carry over. So yeah, he can play a rising uppercut in your turn and then use the enhance to still do it. And what's better than getting rising uppercut in your opponent's turn? Getting true 100%ed on a rising uppercut in your opponent's turn.
He can also play aerial Kikosho.
Oh, no, he can play both.
I was going to say.
He can play both. Yeah, Nick Reagan can officially double reversal your rival.
Whoa. Not reversal. Okay. They made very clear.
Reversal.
In the summit, they also made very clear that, in bold letters, this is not a confirmation of the return of reversal. Brett. It was on the slide.
True. But, I mean, aerial Kikosho,
yeah,
he can play it as a 4 diff, 6 high 7, and then rising uppercut. If he fully blocks with it, he can just play it as an attack. Yeah. I thought that Nick was going to be slowed down a little bit. Now there might just be some more issues to deal with. Now
Nick's a problem in your turn and my turn.
And once per turn.
That might have to be the case.
And he gets the 2-speed 2 damage. So imagine an aerial Kikosho 8 high 9, and it's got a whole bunch of abilities on it. Just
6 high 9.
Not if it gets the 2.
Not if you play it. The
8 high 9 in your 8 high 9 for 4 in your turn that gets another ability. Mm-hmm. And rising uppercut would be a 6 high 6 that you've played
gains
on a block.
Another ability.
Yeah, gains another ability, and you've played on a block. If you hit
and
them,
it's a 0 high block.
Yeah, and it sets the speed to 4 on the block.
If it's a non-ranged,
if it's non-ranged,
yeah,
non-ranged. Yeah, who plays ranged attacks? No one, I say.
I mean, not at the minute. I think so. See, as you're going to Louisville, and as far as we know, these are going to be legal at Louisville, and you're also
playing legal at Louisville. I have confirmation.
And you're also playing Jamie. Are you going to be attacking in your opponent's turn?
I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure yet, because the only one I get access to is the aerial Kikosho, and I'm still waiting to see all of the rest of the cards for these decks, so I can figure out which build of Jamie is the right one for me. I think I'm on version 5.
You should just take the brick and see how far you can get the brick. It'd be great content.
Absolutely not, because I need to make it to top 16. Real talk, cards on the table. I joined Louisville thinking no one's going to want to go to Kentucky. It'll maybe hit 70 people, and I'll try to squeak in on a top 16 so I can make it to Worlds. And then this thing sells out at 160 people? I'm just fighting an uphill battle. The one regional I'm able to go to this year. And I have to fight for my life to make it to Worlds.
You're fine.
Oh yeah, you say that, but every time I think, all right, I got this, I just get mopped the floor with it. And then when I get bullied into joining a tournament, I win the whole thing and go undefeated. So no one bullied me into Louisville. That's the problem.
You need to get... Well, what if I bully you into playing the brick? Do you think it would still work?
No, absolutely not.
So
I think the only symbol I haven't tried on Jamie yet is a fire base, but that's just because I don't really know how I would play it. But I really like Barrier Shield.
Yeah. I mean, Barrier Shield Rising Uppercut seems very fun.
Well, I don't have all.
Oh, yeah, you don't have all.
Jamie doesn't have all, but Barrier Shield into Aerial Kikosho, and you get -2 to your check to block.
Yeah.
So it's really nice.
Yeah, no. Here's my minimum 5/8 because you get the drink counter.
It would, if you play it on your rival's turn, it becomes a 6 high 7.
Here's my 7 high 8 with your -2 to your next check to block. With your next check. Yeah, no, that's.
Yeah, maybe. Like I said, I'm still doing things. I'm still debating doing Brawler Good stuff on like the air symbol or a Water City Rampage build, which I've got going on right now that's showing promise, but I still don't know what all these other cards do. So,
how are you feeling about attacking in your opponent's turn again, Connor?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I was never like the biggest like reversal guy back in when it was UFS and stuff. Never really bothered me. I played Goro. I killed you in my turn. There was no such thing as your turn or you interact, other than one national, so Zhanghua, but we'll not talk about it. So it's nice. It's just nice to that card bullied me aggressively in top cuts at UK Nats, like in my own turn. The cruelty.
I hate Zhanghua. That character never should have been printed.
That card caused so many problems, for sure.
My second Worlds, I was undefeated going into round 4. I was at table 1, and I sat down against Broberg's Zhanghua. And I was like, well, this was fun. This was a fun run. I'm not going to be able to do this now. Still made him work for it, pushed him to game 3, but man, it was bad. I hate that character so much.
So I've been talking about reversals and attacking in your opponent's turn, like applying pressure for a few months now. Ever since we saw like the aerial Kakashi on the Street Fighter kind of like playbook, but the biggest thing I've run into is for reversals to be impactful or attacking your opponent's turn to be impactful, the attacks need to be good enough. They need to kind of end your opponent's turn or stuff their card pull or interact with your opponent's board. And I think aerial Kakashi is a great example of that because it's a 6 high for 7 that says you need to answer this kind of thing. Rising Uppercut, however, is just, although it's not as well statted, it plays itself on block, and we've things like Skull Barrier we've seen with other reversals in the past, and a block that plays itself on there. So if you block with this first, you're checking it on a 4 to attack. Although it's not as impactful to your opponent's board state, it's still a very good piece of synergy, and it kind of goes back to the errata kind of thing. This is a nice balanced. These are nice balanced attacks for attacking your opponent's turn. They're not overpowered. We're not getting Skull Barrier back or any of the OP kind of reversals. These seem to just be. I need to slow you down a little bit.
I also like that they force you to completely block an attack. It's after a completely blocked attack resolves. So it's a little bit iffier. I can kind of see this could also be if they're like Brett's the only one that's gone to like the summit and seen some sneak peek stuff. If they're going to be doing more attacks like this, not necessarily reversal, but reversal at home, could this also be another reason that they maybe got rid of vertical maneuvering equipment? Because -3 speed and then a zone change to completely block something to attack on my rival's turn seems pretty good.
I mean, Kami just got a hell of a power up because you can once per turn commit a foundation to make it considered partially blocked.
Yeah, that is a pseudo.
It stops these both in the tracks. But summit wise, I can tell you, right, I did not see anything out of attacking in your opponent's turn outside of these. Simple as.
That's good.
Press X to do. That's what somebody with an NDA would say.
Yeah, that's not entirely inaccurate.
I was just thinking, like, we don't have anything that says, like, this attack is considered fully blocked, do we? It's like, this attack deals no damage if it's blocked. We don't have anything that kind of says this attack is considered fully blocked.
Flying Scissor Kick. Destroy one foundation after you block with this card. The blocked attack is considered completely blocked.
So, yeah, that has air, so that could work with aerial, but it doesn't work for rising.
True, but it's also a kick, so it works in that air kicks package.
Oh, we're sticking it. I think it's
Unbreakable.
ooh.
It doesn't have any of those symbols, but it's enhance, commit, destroy a foundation. After if you block this attack, it is considered completely blocked.
Well, that kind of moves on to the next aspect of these are attuned, so they can go into any character that has these symbols, and you could get one that say matches with Unbreakable or other cards on that way. But it's kind of weird to see essentially 2 attacks that can be played in your opponent's turn, and it's on 2 of 12 symbols.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually released at least one of these for each symbol.
Yeah. It kind of feels like they're just dipping their toe into the idea. Like it's like reversal has been one of those keywords that very much has always people been talking like bring it back. So I do like the idea that they're like, well, let's try it, but we don't have to like fully commit to it. Plus, also if they're saying all this stuff of like how there's some keywords that'll be locked to IPs and stuff, if it doesn't work, it could be abandoned. You know?
Yeah, I could see that.
My only issue with attuned challenges is you don't get to do the cool thing anymore, like we saw with previous challenges. So with the Dark Hero Arc ones, we had the entire deck built on life, but you had 5 other symbols. So every card shared the life symbol, but you had good cards in there. You had all cards in there. You had a lot more symbol representation, and in the Godzilla ones and the Ghidorah ones, the characters could have different symbols, but as long as they all had at least one symbol that matched on their 3 cards, you could explore cards that were designed for the other characters. If we look at Chun-Li and Jamie, all their cards have to be air or water. They're not going to have any fire or order attuned cards because it makes the deck unplayable for one of the characters.
Yeah.
I think that is might be an argument that attuned shouldn't be in challenges.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, a bit of both. Like, I think based on how like they've designed a lot of stuff, it kind of feel like because they've kind of went all in on attuned, so like it kind of makes sense to have attuned in as much as possible, so that everything gets a feel for it. Obviously, it's a bit delayed with like not every symbol being fully represented, so it's kind of like a 50-50 there, but I can see why they've done it going into this about attunes like being heavily represented.
Yeah, I think Critical Role is still my favourite one for it, where the lower rarities are kind of have that attuned aspect to them, but the higher rarities with the back page have still got the basic resource symbol. So like if Aerial Kakashi was just a air, order, water card, I think I'd like that a lot more. And if the other you are for the like Pearl Rider was a all earth fire card, it would be like cool. So it limits the URs a little bit more. Going, you have to be playing this symbol, especially when you've got Aerial Kakashi as powerful as it is, and it kind of incorporates both of them because it's very weird for like when you've got all these characters with all these symbols, and we can't have all the symbols in there. Basically, we're only seeing 2 symbols represented in each of the decks.
Yeah, and then at that point, why aren't they just like 2 symbol characters?
Yeah, well, then you get into the whole thing of but I get it, but it's I
think there's also enough. Like I think based on how they've designed a lot of stuff, though, right? Attune's still sort of fine for this kind of idea because most of the characters only have like 2 symbols. And like all you need is them to have one of them. If you just give the card like here's the 3 symbols, you're still having to pick the primary.
Yeah.
So like you're still probably limiting it to the same amount of characters that could play it anyway. I'd imagine. Don't put the math on me on that one, but like I'd imagine it probably balances out to roughly the same sort of selective pick rate between both options.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. Just for me, it's one of those things that I like to see cards like Supersonic Flight, which matches all Rodan symbols, going, this is a Rodan card. and in the Ghidorah and going, oh, this is a Ghidorah card. And I get they've done that in here with some of the cards. So, like, we know Rising Uppercut is a Luke card. We know Aerial Kikoshi is a Chun-Li card because of the art and the way it's been designed and the signature to it. But I just like to, when you've got multiple characters in a challenger, having at least one of the cards match all the symbols, it's kind of like this is their signature card for them was very cool to me, because we do get a lot of we do get a lot of cards in here, and it's just great to see things like matching up with a character. But we won't stick on. We won't stick on this for too long. This could probably be a tuned, and all the stuff that's coming over the last year could be an entire thing by itself. So
jot that down as a note.
Let's
note
talk
for future video. Attuned.
Let's talk about Louisville. It's
do we want to do, since we're still talking about the starter decks, do we want to talk about Drive?
Oh, we could
finally know what that does.
Yes, we can go, Jeff. So I have
are either of you two just as underwhelmed as I am?
So let's you okay there, Connor?
Yeah, that was a motorbike driving by.
So I get it a lot. I have got more. I haven't got my own video coming out, like breaking it down. But Drive is just a response. Well, just a cost of an ability, of a response, of an enhance, of a blitz, of whatever it's attached to, that requires you to commit a foundation or spend a momentum. Simple as. So, if you with some of the other attacks that we've seen, I think it's like the aerial one that says, Drive 1, if this attack deals damage, discard, draw 2 cards, discard a card. We've got Rising Up, we've got the attacking your opponent's turn. It's just kind of more of a blanket, and I think this is more to. So, Dobbers have got their Street Fighting games down. I did a bit of research into Street Fighter when I was doing my research into what Drive would be, and Drive is 2 separate abilities. You have Drive Rush and you have Drive Impact. And I think that is why Drive is only a cost, and then the ability to, because rather than having 2 keywords, Drive Rush and Drive Impact, it allows you to just go, here's Drive, here's your Drive gauge, and it allows us as the player to interpret it as we want. So Drive Rush is about your offensive abilities, drawing more cards, increasing the speed of your attack, increasing the speed of damage, doing more with your attack, whereas Drive Impact is about defense and countering and taking less damage and doing things against your opponent. So the attacking your opponent's turn would be a Drive Impact effect, whereas drawing more cards if this attack deals damage would be a Drive Rush effect. But rather than making it 2 separate abilities, it's condensed into one, with Drive 1 being 1. And it hopefully, if we see more, if this does really well, and this challenger, because we've seen other challengers become full sets with Critical Role and Godzilla next year. If this sells well, we get a Street Fighter full set, say 2027, and we get Drive 2, Drive 3, Drive 4, Drive X, and we see an expansion of this. We get even more powerful abilities that we can see coming from this, and we get where we have to commit more and we have to do other things.
I can see that. It just feels... It feels a little needlessly complicated of just adding something for the sake of adding something. Just like an either-or. Because, granted, I've built so many decks in the past 2 months that don't have any momentum out, so Drive actually gives me a use for my momentum, so maybe I shouldn't complain. But it does feel a little just... Yeah, it's Street Fighter. We'll just add this new thing in for Street Fighter and see where it goes. And it just kind of feels a little much sometimes, especially to try to explain all of these things to new players, because I don't think all of them explain Drive.
No, not all of them. Not all of them.
Yeah, so if you don't have one that explains Drive, trying to explain that constantly to new players so that they understand what that is.
So that will probably be in the new collector's book. So the collector's book is coming back in Street Fighter 6, but it is bigger, it is longer, and it covers abilities and how to play the game in the collector's book. because
So that's good.
so it's now going to be a much bigger book than what we had last time. So you're going to be able to you're still going to be able to track what you're getting, but it has 4 more pages, and that will cover how to play the deck in a basic one, and and it should have an explanation of what drive is in there, as well as the fact that on your cards you're going to have at least some of them with the reminder text. But this is going to make it a lot easier for new players, rather than having to go to the website, go to Dized, go to one of our videos, just to be able to read the booklet and get a basics of how to play the game from the booklet.
Yeah, I think that's a really good thing, especially if they have like a keyword abilities glossary or like a terms glossary, terms you need to know.
Just for the deck, you don't need it for all of it.
Yeah.
True, but if you are trying to teach people, that is a very good learning tool. Or if you have something on your website that's just a glossary for all of the need to know things like drive, anything that you would have reminder text for.
Or even if you had a link to, say, a content creator who's been able to categorize in their playlist all of what the keywords do.
I mean, who would be mad enough to try to fit all of that into one playlist? And when they're adding so much every other set, it seems. I don't know who would take on that Herculean feat.
That could be a topic. That is probably something we should talk about at some point as well, is how much they're adding to the game, and if it's counterproductive to what we got with AOT1 of we're simplifying the game for mental load. I mean,
don't say those 2 words. Don't say those 2 words to me. I don't want to hear anything about mental load ever again.
It's just it just
almost triggering.
Now you see, after AOT where we got Frenzy, I think Frenzy was fine. I think Frenzy is a great.
We didn't get Frenzy in AOT. We got it in Star Trek.
Star Trek. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said after AOT when we got Frenzy.
Oh, I thought you said in AOT.
Sorry. Yeah. After
my brain's still boiling because you said mental load.
Okay. So after AOT, when we got Frenzy in Lower Decks, I think that's a great expansion of Blitz. I think that's a great keyword and a great thing we added in. We got Critical Role where we had nothing new added. We just got more Blitz, more backups, and more ways to play with the new stuff. Like when we got Harness on Death, and we got the Caduceus, which was utilizing more building more backups and punishing family backups. Those were great expansions of what we already had, and we didn't get anything new. And I thought, okay, maybe we're going in a good direction. And then I see Street Fighter, and I'm like, you've just brought in Drive and put all that stuff.
Reversal.
Yeah, and you've added all this new stuff to it. And it's hard to say that we're trying to simplify the game for onboarding when someone looks at their IP that they've come in on onboarding and go, oh, cool, I have a understanding of the game. I have an understanding how this game runs. Goes to their locals and immediately is then met by Echo, Ruin, Shift, Outwit.
Yeah, and not to mention that, let me see if I can find it. It's in one of the Turtles articles. There was a article about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that it actually said they were going to be bringing out new, like, mechanics and stuff, and my eye started twitching. Because as much as don't get me wrong, I love complicated games. I love having my brain twisted in knots, but as someone who teaches this game and tries to make new player-friendly content, that hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
When I'm having to explain, because I'm not one of these people. Like, I have issues with the demos, the new ones. I think they're great. I don't like the script because I just don't like being told what to do. And I'm also, there's so much that's not in there that, yeah, you get the basics of how to play the game, but there's going to be so much of a jump that they would have to learn between the demo and actually playing in a tournament that they might feel that they weren't told anything. That doesn't feel good.
I like scripted demos for brand new players, people who've never played TCGs before, people who are coming in with no past knowledge or past intuition. So when I was at UK Games Expo last week, the Yu-Gi-Oh demo was a scripted demo, but it was only covering Duel Monsters stuff. It didn't go into any of the extra stuff, but they had it all there. And basically, when they're on the time crunch, you went there and they go, okay, I'm going to play this. You can, and you had a bit of choice, but ideally, like, you play this, I play this, you play this, and you get the feel for the game. And that's what the scripted demos are meant to be. But you didn't get... I know it wasn't a true feel for Yu-Gi-Oh! I've played enough Yu-Gi-Oh! To know,
no, I wasn't laughing at you. I'm on Facebook, and I just saw that you said... I just saw your post that says, Bans, apologies, and all of that, so... It just cracked me up for a second.
Did I or did I not apologize in this video? I thought you were talking about me, and that one as well. That one as well. We've got all the apologies here.
Yes,
there isn't an apology.
I'm trying to find that stupid article.
There isn't an apology that's happened that we don't know about. But yeah, I think having that's fine. I think especially if say Gen Con or PAX, scripted demos are a good way to go. But what other games at UKG had was behind that. They had a free play area which had decks there as well, where if the demos had time or if you knew a bit about the game, you could sit with a friend and you could play more complicated, like the Percy Beauregard starter decks, you could play those there. And you could teach someone who had a bit more experience with like Magic or I'm blanking on other games. One Piece or Gundam.
Yu-Gi-Oh! The one
I was trying to
talking about.
I was trying to think of a game that isn't 20 years old, in all honesty.
Flesh and blood.
Don't say that to me. That hurts my pride on a very emotional level. I don't need to know Yu-Gi-Oh's like 25 years old, man.
Yeah, I got the 25-year pins from going. But yeah, like if people have been playing Altered or Star Wars Unlimited, Digimon, Gundam, they can come and they can experience this unique way to play the game because our resource system is unique. The way that our turns play is unique. I sat and
we draw more than one card a turn is unique.
I sat and played Gundam and One Piece and Altered and Star Wars Unlimited, and there were a lot of the same. It's like, oh yeah, draw 2 cards, play one as resource for Unlimited or Altered. For Gundam and One Piece, it was like get your resource, your berries or your resources, and draw a card and play out the turn. It's like, Universus, honestly, it's just so unique. It just isn't well known enough to get in there. And UVS are pushing it into the market, and Riftbound is a great way for us to do it, but we're not here to talk about that. Again, that's something else we can talk about. Doty, write this down, we can talk about that. I think...
Although I did see the solo leveling starter decks in my local GameStop over this weekend, and I was over the moon about that.
Oh, really? Because
we finally have in bigger box store stuff.
Oh,
at least in Oklahoma City.
Actual pro.
You weren't here when I went over that, were you? Because when you were away meeting Bruce Campbell and stuff, I talked about the summit, and Soul Leveling sold out at Distro. Godzilla sold out at Distro. Critical Role's close to getting sold out at Distro. Basically, a lot of the stuff that we had from last year is completely sold out. So having Soul Leveling in your store is quite rare. I know on eBay, Godzilla challenges, people are trying to sell them for like $100 a pop now because Distro has no more to send out.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Plus, just in general, those decks were selling out so fast that they just didn't sit in stores at all.
No.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I had pre-ordered mine through my store so that I could guarantee get some copies because we also sold out real quick.
Yeah, we've got that.
And Depop ones too.
Yeah, we've got that with like the Dominion store, the new store in Scotland that's actually running the game, and they got in Godzilla stuff, and it's already disappeared. And I'm like, what the? Like, luckily I don't need it anymore. But like, I'm sitting going like, oh my god, that's sold out so fast.
It's great, and I mean, I'm honestly surprised my interview with the Godzilla artist hasn't done better than it has. But I'm sure as we get more Godzilla stuff, it will kind of tick up. That's going to be a slow burner. But if you haven't gone and watched it, please do, because the way Sean talks about Godzilla when answering my questions, well, the way I talk about Sean's answers when I read his answers, and the connection to his mother, who's no longer with us, and his childhood where he was bullied, and how Godzilla got him through a lot of that, and his connection to his mother through Godzilla, and how working on this IP gave him all this like emotional connection was just so amazing to hear. And yeah, I'm gonna go look at my other videos.
Well, yeah, but I missed that one, so I'm gonna have to go listen to it because that sounds great.
Yeah, Sean was absolutely amazing to interview with. I hope we get more of his work because I would love to chat with him again. But yeah, have we got anything else we want to talk about before we move over to Louisville?
No.
Cool. So let's move over to, we say Louisville, but let's call it Louis Filled.
Fair play.
All right, you get one.
Yeah.
I get more than one. This is my channel. How dare you?
That's fair. Fair.
You're not Richard. You can't tell me what to do.
Richard did tell me I needed to be meaner to you, so
This is true. This is
it's like we can't have two of them.
So yes, the day after this product, the Street Fighter product drops, we have Louisville, Kentucky, which is sold out. There are no more tickets. People thought the cap may be lifted, but I believe it was just said, no, this is what the venue has at capacity. So
Yeah, that's what Sean said. He made an announcement when there was, I think, 60 seats still left, that there was not going to be a increase in the cap. So I told my two players who were thinking about going, hey, go get your tickets. Go now.
Oh yeah,
and only one of them got one.
Justin Birch, I was having a chat with him yesterday while recording another game show that we're coming out soon, and he was telling me that he was streaming with the team, and while they were streaming, he was booking his Louisville ticket.
He did. I watched that four checks cast, and that was hilarious. He's like, just doing this, and they're like, "Are you actually buying?" He goes, "Yeah, there's only like 20 seats left. I gotta get one." But only one of my locals was able to get his ticket because the other one, I guess, just didn't think it was going to sell out that fast. 60 seats.
Yeah.
But he's still gonna go. So they're gonna fly out there, and he's gonna try to do a. I don't know what that show is, but where they take like some random piece of garbage, and they see how many times they can trade for it and see what they can trade up
the
to.
trade up thing.
Yeah, he's going to do that with Universus cards because he wants to get into content creation for this game because he's out on Twitch and stuff. And I've been hounding him, stop talking and do it. And he was like, I might just do some trading. I'm like, you should do this trade up thing. He goes,
Yeah,
that's actually not a bad idea. I'm like, no one else is doing it.
no.
Brett's got his Great British Bake Off. You can have your weird Khajiit trading session.
No, it's a great thing to do. It happens a lot. Kind of like Cohen's going to Louisville as well. That's awesome. But yeah, I've seen quite a lot. It's not really like the thing I've considered doing because one, I didn't take my trades to Albuquerque because fuck taking that many cards to on a plane.
Yeah, well, you had to deal with customs too,
Yeah.
So that's a whole nother bag.
And
That's a whole nother bag.
it's not a bad piece of content. The main issue you're probably going to come across is you need to find people that are willing to go in it because we got to remember people are still going to want to try and get the best they can for kind of thing. But it's still definitely a very interesting line to go on. I'm interested to see how it goes down. I don't think they're having a cosplay competition either at Louisville.
I don't think so. Then again, I haven't paid too much attention to the side events because I'm shooting for that top 16, baby. I gotta buckle in and knuckle up. But although one thing I will say with the if you are planning to go to Louisville, even if you don't have a ticket, I think Sean might start a list. I know he's done this before, so that if people drop or don't make it, you might be able to purchase get in line to purchase a ticket that has been dropped because someone couldn't make it. Travel plans fall through, something like that. Don't quote me on this because he has not made an announcement, but I know he's done this in the past. So it might be something to watch out for and consider going if you still want to go just in case. If not, go anyway because Rochester always has a whole bunch of great side events going on and they always make it worth your while.
And if you want to just get free prize wall tickets, talk to Tim Keefe or Nick Reagan or Justin Birch about the Karasu farming method for PvE, where you can kill a boss in under a minute. You're just printing prize wall tickets at that point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're still paying for the side events, but yeah, effectively.
Yeah, essentially you're just buying
You're
prizes.
definitely paying for the prize wall tickets.
Yeah.
But I mean, an uncut sheet is still a cheap equivalent. Is still cheap equivalently there. And you got to think, if everyone's playing in the main event and you're just farming side events, you can buy all the promos, and then they have to come to you. You can make it.
Hey! Let's not encourage scalping.
Are we finding flaws in the system? What?
That's degenerate behavior. Let's not encourage that.
As someone who missed out on all the airship promos because I was in the summit, I am all in for causing someone else to miss out on promos.
Have we heard what the prize wall promos are going to be? Are they going to be the same as Albuquerque?
They're more likely going to be the same because we're still in the same season, but there might be some Street Fighter stuff added.
That would be cool. I would like to see some alt-art Street Fighter stuff.
We don't know what else like Rochester will add because every TO adds their own stuff to it as well. But uncut sheet wise, they had with Albuquerque, they had like all the previous stuff there as well. They had all the previous like oversized cards, so very interesting to see what's going on there. But
get me an oversized Jamie and just play that as my character.
Yeah, it's legal. It's more than legal to do that. But
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's one of the things I do like about the oversized cards, and they're legal. I do not regret my decision of getting a soul leveling uncut sheet instead of a double sized Sun Jin Woo. I can get a double sized Sun Jin Woo somewhere else. But
yeah,
the big thing is I wanted to go over points as to why Louisville kind of sold out compared to every other event we've had this year, which has barely broken 80 for, like at the highest. Then we've suddenly gone to 160. So I've got 4 talking points that we can kind of go over. With the first one, wherever this is now gone, being, do we think the meta has impacted the Louisville? So we've got like last few times it's been kind of control-y kind of aspect with a lot of aggressive decks. I don't think the meta shifted too much with Apocalypse, but this is the first. Do we think the introduction of Apocalypse characters and Street Fighter has kind of increased regional attendance?
No.
No.
So it's nothing to do with the cards whatsoever. It's other factors.
I don't believe so. No. Yeah.
Well, that's a quick talking point there. I was hoping that'd be a bit longer.
I am nothing if not efficient.
What about timing? This is going to be happening during your school breaks. It's going to be happening during college breaks. So, is the timing a key factor? I don't know much about how Albuquerque never factored into national holidays and all things like that.
I do think having it smack dab in the middle of summer break is good because, like, if people have kids or school or jobs, you can always have these things that are coming up timing wise. So that usually people do go on vacation right in the middle of July, the summer. I do know that Denver suffered because it was like 2 weeks after nationals. So everyone was pretty much financially tapped out at that point because you already had this big trip down to Dallas and all the money spent in that.
I mean, 2 months, right?
It means afterwards.
Oh, you mean it was after?
Yeah.
It was after Worlds. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It was like basically like 2 months after.
So
it was 2 months after Nationals, 1 month after Worlds, 2 weeks after Heroes of Exandria launched.
Yeah. So I think, especially if people went from Nats to Worlds, they just weren't going to be able to afford to go to. I know, I only went to Nationals and I couldn't afford to go to Denver. A 2 month turnaround was not something I was able to pick up on, especially if you just put in time for all of that. Will your job let you take more time off that quickly? So I do think the timing is a good factor in why this one did a lot better in the attendance.
Makes sense. What about pricing? So before Albuquerque, we had the increase in pricing where top cuts are going to get prize war promos. The prize war ticket system kind of changed, became cheaper, but you got rewarded with more prize war tickets for taking part in side events. And it was a couple of weeks before Albuquerque. So as some attendants, like when I was talking with Will Anderson, he was telling me that it was unlikely that Albuquerque was ever going to see an increase in participation because of those pricing. Do we think it impacted Louisville though?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I've heard anyone saying they're going specifically for the extra pricing. I think that's more of an icing on the cake kind of deal. Like it makes it feel better that you're going. You feel better for going as opposed to hey, I was on the fence, but now that they've upped this pricing, I feel like I should go. I think if you're going, you're trying to win points for Worlds. And I think all the extra pricing is icing on the cake. I don't see that necessarily as a driving factor. So we've got our no, yes, maybe.
So it's... I'll let you go, Connor.
No, I'm in the same boat. Like, I think with the pricing, it's more just like a slice of life improvement. So it's like the aim is you want to win, but then it feels as if, like, initially, obviously, like before they upped it, it felt like you were losing out because you were doing well. So it's an easy fix that they made. But I don't see anyone that's going there to win being like, oh, well, the pricing wasn't as good, so that's why I didn't want to go and win first place. Like,
but do you think it's made it easier to justify mentally, even just subconsciously, going, well, I'm going to get, even if you top 64 or you top 32, you're going to get prize war promos, and you're going to get something extra just for being there. And has that helped kind of the mentality rather than going, oh, there's no point me even taking part in the main event because if I don't do well enough, I'm not going to be able to get my prize wall stuff. I should just do side events and get the prize wall stuff.
I think it's definitely a feels better. It used to be like a feels bad because you felt like you were missing out. I think it's more of a feels better to where it's not like pushing hard on the, okay, now I feel good about this. It's just you feel better about it.
What about the location? Is this East Coast or Central?
It's east of Central. It's still kind of in the It's still kind of in the American Midwest, but it's more to the east. It's between East and the Central Midwest, where there's nothing, and that's speaking as someone who lives here.
So compared to
corn.
So compared to Denver and Albuquerque, that are about 3-4 hours apart from each other, is Louisville more centralized for players to get access to?
I have no idea. I didn't know. Okay, so they said at the beginning of their OP thing that they were focusing on more places that have like a broader player base. And then when they said Denver, Albuquerque, and Louisville, I'm like, I haven't heard of any player bases around these areas. Also, Denver to Albuquerque is about 6.5 hours. Not 3 hours. I don't know if 6 American hours translates to 3 British hours, but
you got to think of the extra time as you go from like West Coast time to Central time.
They're in the no, you don't. That's still driving time. As someone who is driving 12.5 hours to Louisville, no, you don't.
All I know is it took an hour. It took like an hour flight from Denver to Albuquerque.
Yeah, that's because you were flying.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this over across the pond. Planes are faster than cars.
They are, but when I got off the plane, I was speaking with Hitch, and I was like, my delay at Denver was 5 hours, and then Hitch said to me, "Oh, you probably could have got a car and driven it in that time."
Close. Depends on how fast you're driving, but close. But yeah, I
what
drove...
do you mean? I always respect the speed limits, even when driving.
Oh, then you wouldn't have made it. You wouldn't have even made it in 6. Not the way American highways are, with all the traffic and construction and all the bad stuff. I mean, no, I drove 12.5 hours to Tennessee for vacation, and it's about the same distance from my home to Louisville. So, yeah, 12.5 hours on my own in a car. I would legitimately start raving mad.
From what I've seen from the planes, I would legitimately fall asleep driving in America because it's just a straight line.
Um,
Everywhere straight.
it depends on where you're at. If you're in the American Midwest, it's mostly farmland and maybe a dead town every now and then, which is awful for people like me who do most of the driving, and it's just no. But luckily, my friends are going to fly out to Louisville and drive back with me, so I only have to go there on my own for 12 and a half hours, because holy crap.
So, yeah.
But no, the locations are weird. The locations are weird for me. I do know that a lot of the East Coast people weren't going to make it to Denver or Albuquerque because of how far it was. But Louisville is closer to the East Coast people, so that might be why we get a bit of an influx of more players.
And we know East Coast of Atlanta, Florida, has a lot of players within there that are going to be able to have a lot easier access to Louisville than, say, Albuquerque.
Yeah. Of course, if America could just get their asses in gear and put in a high-speed rail system to where we can do these bullet trains that can take us from one end of the country to halfway in like 4 hours, sure.
I mean,
or even 6 hours.
You have got
Let me
planes,
go OKC to Louisville in 6 hours. Let me do that.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool. But so location and timing is kind of what we've narrowed this down to. It's closer to the majority of the player base, and the timing is where a lot of people are freer to travel because of schools and works and not having to dance on that. So let's talk about a EU event that's kind of in a similar boat. Let's talk about Spain. We've had the location for Spain drop thanks to some sleuthing from Patriot Games, who were able to tell us where the event's actually going to be. Connor has now booked his accommodation, I believe. So that's
that changed overnight. We've rebooked accommodation. We got rejected for the first place.
And
we were rejected.
So,
yeah, we had an
so
Airbnb.
We'll get into that aspect in a second, because I can kind of weigh in on why they were rejected.
Yeah, I'll play the part of the dumb American and let you guys talk.
So, for those who are aware, we have a Spanish regionals coming up in August. And similar to yourselves, we have a long stretch of time where kids are not in school, people at university and college are not in classes, and it's where it's considered the primary holiday maker time. And that is the end of July to the beginning of September. The main issue with that is prices triple, especially if you're trying to travel with kids. And
under some circumstances.
Yes. And one of the biggest places that the price increases is to Spain, because that's where all the people go on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
And so timing wise, it's a bit awkward, but availability wise, a lot more of our players are going to be available. It's just, unless you're in an Airbnb traveling as a group of, say, 7 or 8, this is going to be a very expensive regional. Yeah. People that are going are kind of going to be doing hotel shares. I know Mike Hardiman, some of the Patriot guys, were trying to get a drive to Spain going because it would legitimately be cheaper than flying. But the big...
tunnel, right.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, you're an island. What the hell are you talking about? You're going to drive to Spain.
Also, there's ferries.
Yeah.
It's not that far. It takes a couple of hours by ferry.
Okay, you know what? As someone who hasn't had the luxury of getting out of my country very often, I would love to visit the UK. I would love to visit Europe. But money rules the world, and I do not have very much influence with money.
On a good clear day, you can see France from Dover over the water.
I don't know if you're messing with me on
that.
No, that actually is
it's actually true. You can legitimately see France from the UK on a good clear day.
We once had a politician say that she knows about foreign interest because she can see Russia from her backyard because she lives in Alaska, and I'm pretty sure she was pulling one over on us.
No.
Got to make sure you're not messing with the American here.
Just gonna there's a British guy that's trying to walk around the globe, and he walked from America to Russia using a small stretch of ocean that freezes over in winter.
Yeah.
Making him the first person in like 1,000 years to walk that stretch because it's considered too dangerous. But that's other news. Also, speaking of other news, to our players in Los Angeles, stay safe. I know it's a very trying time out there at the minute. The National Guard has been called in. There's a lot of protests going on around ICE. So if you are out in LA, stay safe, stay vigilant, and just do your best.
And to all of our international players, not all of us Americans are like this, and not all of us support what's going on here.
And by that we mean what ICE are doing, not what the protests against ICE are doing.
To be fair, I'm talking about like the governmental overreach and all of the bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
90% of us don't agree with
Breaking news, Cameron hates immigration.
No.
The SWAT
I
team.
am... Again, might be shooting myself in the foot. I'm very liberal when it comes to my politics. I'm very live and let live. I don't care. I want society to move forward as a whole, as a global unit. And all of this isolationism and fear about stuff like that is just absolute bullshit.
I mean, this
is not a political podcast.
We have Star Trek in the game. We should be promoting a unity of planetary alliance because it's in Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, once the aliens come, we're all going to have to band together anyway. We might as well start building those blocks now.
But that does kind of go into one of the things with Spain. You may not know this yourself, Cameron. British people, not the nicest people out on holiday. We get a lot of I'm going to Americanize it. We get a lot of our soccer fans who go over there and cause trouble. We get a lot of holidaymakers that go and smash up pubs and bars and cause a lot of trouble for locals.
I guarantee you're not as bad as American tourists.
The Scottish tourists alone could take you guys.
Yeah, but we're also nice.
Yeah.
Brett's mostly referring to the English.
I'm mainly referring to soccer, like the soccer hooligan kind of.
Yeah, the football fans.
Yeah, there's an island in Spain that has a population of 2.2 million people, and that's what their infrastructure is designed around. Like a maximum of 3 million people. 1.3 million people go there to travel during August. It pushes them beyond what they can physically handle, and so Spain is now kind of having riots and protests saying they don't want British people to come to certain aspects. And one of those places is Alicante, where the regional is happening. So they've got protests, and part of why the Dobbers will have been refused an Airbnb is because the Spanish government is pressuring Airbnb to take down around 10,000 listings from Spain because they want to cut back on tourism. So, and fair play to you. This is not a criticism of UVS in any way, shape, or form. There's no way they could have predicted that this was going to happen a year ago.
Yeah,
there's also a lot more moving factors. So the main reason we got rejected was because Scott used a more recent account being created, whereas normally you go through Murray's account, where it's got like a bajillion reviews because we travel all the time. The main thing they're trying to curb isn't just British tourism though. It's what they're really trying to do is manage the cost that's associated with it.
Yes.
So it's not like we're all going to get lynched when we get there. Like it's not like the Daily Mails. The protest in the same scenario is basically just in the inner cities. A lot of places are buying second and third homes and then renting them out for Airbnbs and stuff, and that's all they're using them for. So what's happening is inner city work means you can't get a place to stay. So it's meaning travel for people who actually stay there has become an issue. But there's a million moving parts to it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot more complex than like I've made clear. I've oversimplified it, but you know, like for the Airbnb aspect, like you're saying, it's a new account trying to book for say 9 people is going to raise red flags over Airbnb with everything that's going on, and the British have got this reputation of being hooligans. It's why Europe does not like a lot of us. It's a very well earned like stereotype to have. Especially when
it's one of those. You're not wrong, but
it's a stereotype that's put on anyone traveling over there, especially if you're a bloke of a particular size and shape. So, like, I get it a lot because essentially I'm built like a triangle. So I get a lot of the, oh, you must be a football fan. It's like, I'm really not. But yeah, especially when a lot of the people that do travel to Europe outside of like family holidays travel for sport, and they get drunk and they cause fights and riots, and people have got injured and died. And to put it very bluntly, the reputation that Britain has in Europe for travel is the kind of the reputation America has everywhere else. Where
And honestly, what sucks about that is the people, at least Americans, who are willing to go out and travel and experience new cultures. We're not those ones.
no.
But we still get that, and that's why sometimes I just tell people I'm Canadian. As Eddie Izzard said, if you're an American traveling abroad, 2 tricks. One, say you're Canadian. That always helps. Even if you're lying. Just what are you talking about? It's just... Yeah, like I said, I really wish I had the money to travel outside the country more. I've always wanted to. But again, yeah, I get it. I'm an American, and there's plenty of stereotypes about us, and not for unfair reasons.
In an ideal world for me, Spain would be in November and Scotland would be in August. Because
No,
it would.
no.
Well, he didn't say an
No.
ideal world for you.
No.
I do not want the sun in my country when I'm playing. I want to go where the sun is when I want to play an
But
event.
that's what I mean. It'd be colder. It would be.
It's gonna rain.
It-
Like,
Oh no! It's
You're gonna
raining
see
while
the
we're playing
sun for
cards
half an hour.
inside.
No. But there's the taxi ride to the place, right? And when you see that glimpse of sun, that little bit of hope, and you go, "Oh, that's disappearing in half an hour."
But that's what I mean. It would be cheaper. It's around where you can book.
I think the main thing with Spain, which was the thing that I was getting into trouble for shouting all the time, was we needed the location. Because if you book things far enough in advance, i.e. now, you can genuinely get to Spain fairly cheap. Now, I'm going to say £500, right? So it's like, what, $850? Like, it's still up there on cost, but it's not the craziest cost I've spent to
No.
travel. Especially for like the guys up in Scotland. We literally, until this event in November for Scotland, we travel to every event, and it's always around the £200-300 mark each person has to pay to get that trip done. So we've managed to get Airbnb with 6 of us. We're all paying 170 each for 5 nights.
That's really good.
Oh, damn, that's really good.
And the flights, because we got it booked early enough, I think I paid £230.
Okay.
So, like, I'm getting to Spain for less than 500 quid.
Yeah.
Like, it's doable, but it was entirely not doable until Scott found out where the address was to the venue. Because
Yeah.
it's easy enough to book a flight to Alicante, but the location of like where it was going to be really changed the prices. Like, we had some places right in the centre, and we were looking at like paying about 300-400 each for 5 nights.
Yeah.
And then there was some places where it was like 70 for 5 nights each, but it was so far away. But the venue could
Yeah.
have been right next door.
Yes.
The cheapest place we did find was 85 each, and it was right next door to the event. But then it got booked because we didn't know the event venue at the time.
But that's that's kind of like the point. Where it's good that we got the location. Shame it's not like the official thing. We had to go dig it up.
The fact we
Because
had to dig it up will still be a gripe that I will bring up at all times. The fact that like the Daubers went and found where the venue is to then pass over to Sean. That UVS should genuinely be putting this information out. Like, see, the moment it's confirmed, that should be updated.
But
I completely
About
agree.
it.
to play devil's advocate, do we even know if UVS knows yet? Because did Scott find it from the TO or from UVS?
UVS has to know where the event is because they're
Yeah, 'cause-
top the TO. Like,
Yeah, because they would have to know where they're holding their event.
yeah, because they need to know where they're sending employees. Like,
Yeah,
They
but
know.
they might not know now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if the TO hasn't communicated it properly.
If they didn't know and now they found out because we've posted up where it is, that still should be updated in an official format. The fact that
Yeah.
it's not is why we have events have lower numbers. You
Yeah,
can't book
I think
for
that's
imaginary
another.
land. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's another thing. Is as soon as sometimes it feels like they take too long to post things and to update. You know what? Like, as they're like, oh, in July we're having an event.
and
When some people need
yeah,
like 3 or 4
when, where,
months in advance
yeah.
to take off of work,
and if
and if we don't know when or
Yeah.
where exactly, it's going to be kind of rough. So that's why I agree with Connor. As soon as
Oh,
we
yeah.
have confirmation, make a big post, put it on all the socials so people can plan, because
Yeah.
the farther out you can book things in advance, the cheaper they'll be.
Yeah, and even if it's just like a thing in the newsletter, and if it was the first time it had happened in, say, the last 4 weeks, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But it's right off the wounds of UK Games Expo, which had little to no advertising. We knew they were going to be there, but we had to go find the UGN events. There was no advertising for them. It was like there was no. If we hadn't looked it up, we wouldn't have known it was a Rochester Retro listing or anything like what was going on. This goes back to what I was like saying last week. I honestly think UVS might just be stretching themselves too thin. They've got staff members traveling constantly at the minute. We've got the stars updating quite weirdly. Like, we had the star date be delayed because Matt was traveling and Guile was traveling, and I believe they both handled the website. So the Redemption Star article came out later than people were used to. The star update itself happened later than you was used to. The images didn't quite fully upload. It's all been fixed now, which is great, but UVS might just be stretching themselves too thin, and things are falling through the cracks. And it seems like, unfortunately, it's the international players that are going through that. If they have got the confirmation of the event, like you said, it should have gone live the moment it was out there. It's like, here it is. You're going to be in Spain location has been confirmed. Just quick post. Let's go. It's going to be here. If it was just like a Facebook post, Dobbers can jump on it. I can jump on it. Make content. Get it out to the wider community. Put it in the newsletter. Just as a bottom, like, oh, be prepared for you. Louisville international players. Melbourne's just wrapped up, but Spain is right around the corner. Here's where it's going to be at. It's these little things that take 2 seconds to do that I think UVS might not be thinking about because they've got XYZ projects on the go that are taking up all of their attention.
Do you think that having international teams would help? Like, if they had a UVSG EU team and a UVSG like Oceania team to help coordinate stuff like that and to kind of act as a boots on the ground type of deal, do you think that would help ease the strain a little bit? Because then you wouldn't need, Guile and Levi and all them necessarily flying out for all these international events. They'd have their teams on the ground already.
What do you think, Connor? I'm going to need a second to formulate an answer.
So from a budgetary stance, probably not. I don't really know if they could have. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but I don't know if they could afford to at this point in time, like, branch out to having international branches. I know, like, when it was UFS, it was a big thing that was being looked at for almost forever, where we were going to have a branch in Germany.
One reason I bring it up is because Jason did do that stuff in Germany when they were getting the My Hero thing. They were talking about branching out. So I thought, if maybe even if it's just like 2 or 3 people in each sector of just like, hey, you're going to be like our little local people crew to help with events and help with like answering questions, promotional stuff, getting the word out there. If it was just something that they could eventually
I think there's a space in which they could do it. I think there's a few, like, especially like international laws with us leaving EU and stuff. I don't know where they would put it, where it would be an easy implementation to either. Even if it was just like an international community manager or something like that, like, just to be able to put it up could be a thing. Like,
Brett.
it'd be nice. Like,
I think Connor's kind of hit the nail on the head there with the infrastructure of UVS and the cost-wise. You've got to take into account every country has its own employment laws and travel restrictions. And if they hired were Sean from Patriot as the EUTO kind of thing, like was responsible for assembling a team and having them manage EU, you've then got to go through the Brexit aspect of having an EU team based in the UK, having them travel to mainland Europe to build bridges, do things that's going to then add more costs on top of what the LGS team at UVS is already doing. You've also then got to go through taxing and employment rights and the fact that you got to, in the UK, we have set holidays, set holiday allowances. We have a lot of different laws. So, like in the US, I believe you're not entitled to unless it's part of your contract, you're not entitled to holiday. You have to like request it and like get it unpaid. In the UK, legally, 28 days minimum holiday has to be given as part of working. And that's not including bank holidays and other time off that's allowed for the government.
It's also paid.
It's also
time
paid
off as well.
Look, I know I live in a dystopia, all right? You don't need to rub that in. All I said was, could this be something they could look into? And now you're just beating me down for being American.
I do think it's something they should look into for like 100%. Something they should look into because, especially as like Brett was saying, things falling through the crack and stuff. I think as an international player, it always feels bad because it always feels like it's the internationals that get hit with something random, not always intentional, but it still adds to a list.
The other side of it is I'll talk like the negatives on it, but the positive, the one reason I want to see someone in Oceania and EU, even if it's just one person, is for events. So look at Albuquerque versus Denver. We were on YouTube, which was great, and we had interviews happening between rounds. We had the casters talking between rounds. We had a lot of stuff going on between rounds. And you can't do that through a webcast. You can't have Zane and Bailey and the top eighters and the people in the community that the people know like Corono, who's Oceania content creator. You can't have them go and be on the stream with the casters and doing interviews between rounds because it's a web broadcast. They haven't got the facilities there. But if they had a member of staff out there, because Giles got his own stuff he needs to do out there, Matt and Josh and Levi all have their own stuff they need to do. They cannot be acting as casters or announcers or the stuff going on there. So having someone out there whose job is media, going out there going, okay, Bailey, you've gone to Worlds, you're a big Toro player, you're playing this really interesting deck, come chat with us before the next round gets starts. If we had someone in EU, we could go like, okay, Connor, you're at Chelmsford, you're playing Mitchell. You're playing Mitchell Semino, but you're playing under chaos. Come tell us why you did this. Why you made these choices? And as good as the articles are that highlight it, they come after the event when the interest is not at its peak. Being able to introduce more people to the international community, making Connor and Kai and Scott and all these people that a lot of people in the community already know, but exposing them to the wider community would be great. But it's something that UVS are struggling to do at the minute, but I hope it's something we can see improved.
I agree.
Yep.
Outside, is there anything else you want to talk about around regionals or the state of the game as we come like towards the tail end of the episode?
Nothing I can think of. No, nothing really comes to mind as anything I have like top of mind to talk about.
Yeah, same.
Fair enough. So, as we wrap up, then so what we've learned from this discussion is that the meta is still being defined, so that didn't impact the regionals. The pricing, people were aware of, but we think it had a minimal impact. What was the real impact to Louisville compared to everyone else is the timing. and the location to a lesser
Yeah.
extent. So what we were hoping UVS kind of extrapolate from this is that events need to be around community availability, which is really weird to put in there, because having to know when the best time is cannot be easy.
No,
Also,
especially
if you're
not in the
gonna-
US that's so
yeah.
big.
And if you're
Yeah.
going to have 10 events, but you're just literally filling every month, somebody's going to get the raw end of the
Yeah.
deal where it just doesn't work. It's going to just happen.
They can't
But
do it around.
You can fix it with information. As long as we know in advance of enough time, people can make plans to actually
Ooh.
attend the regionals.
So you're saying
Yeah.
it's not as much a timing issue as
Well,
to
Chelmsford, let's take Chelmsford for instance, right?
yeah.
Chelmsford was floating in that instance of we didn't really know. We knew it was in the south of England, but we didn't really know where initially. And it was still at the really start of the year, so people who went to Worlds and did the nationals and stuff, everyone had the brunt of that. So then cost always plays a factor, and it's so cost plays a factor, and the timing played a factor on that one because, especially in the UK, with trying to get your holidays approved, you do tend to need to put them in with enough time so that your works can actually approve it. If you're saying to them like, "Oh, I need next weekend off," most works are like, "Not happening, pal." Like,
Well, I
they
mean,
work.
Chelmsford fell into that really weird situation of most people had it guaranteed off because Easter Sunday and Bank Holiday Monday are days where everyone kind of has it off unless you're working in pubs,
I don't
fast
get it
food, or healthcare like
Or
yourself.
any form of healthcare, you
Yeah.
don't get it off. The problem is that is the scenario where you like, just because some people get it off, not everyone gets it off. So like the factor is, if you have enough information to be able to book stuff, it becomes doable. Obviously, like a community aspect of it would be being able to travel with people can
Yeah.
severely cut the cost to the point where you're almost paying nothing. And I think what happens a lot of times is with a lot of the communities, they don't seem to bubble up as well. They bubble up with the group they know, and there's no room for, like, let's say outsiders. That sounds bad, but like people that are coming into the group don't have the same like approach. Whereas like up in Scotland, be like, we're booking a place for 15, who's in, like,
Yeah.
and we're just all in on it.
But
Like,
again,
we can get people going.
that's also within your clique kind of thing. It's
Nope,
got,
we have all the English come in. We just, there is a bed. Did you pay for it? Well done. You're part of the group.
but I mean, we don't. I mean, I've done it, but we don't really see people posting on Facebook or the Discord going, "I want to go to this regional. Does anyone want to boycott me?" I did it for Albuquerque. I literally was like, "I need to save money because I'm paying to go to
'cause you're traveling
Albuquerque."
as one.
Uh,
Yeah.
Has anyone got? Anyone want to do a hotel share? And I got nothing back from it, so I had to pay full price for the hotel. But
I mean, I know I've been part of, at least for the Spain trip, I've been part of 3 different groups that were like looking at people to travel.
But it's one of those things, how do those groups form? Because like, from my point of view, I gather most people think no, I'm not going, but I've not seen anything of people doing that. Kind of going, oh,
So I would expect you might see a couple more people, especially on like some of the Discords and stuff, maybe pop up asking about it now that we actually have a location.
Yeah.
I think beforehand there was no point asking, like, why are you going to be like, is anyone looking to book a massive city? Like, we need the whole city because we don't know what we're saying yet. Like, nobody was actually booking up yet. We as the Scottish guys have only just literally done it over that weekend. Once we had the information, then we all just sat down. We're booking something. We're locking something in.
but I mean, even for like Chelmsford or Nottingham or Leeds or even going to Sheffield, I don't really see any posts come up of people looking to do Airbnb shares or hotel shares. It's all done through people they know.
Yeah, I think it tends to be through, like, I think in the UK we're obviously a bit lucky in the sense of like mostly everybody knows everybody. So like if somebody's going, so like we had like the guys in like Durham asking where we're staying, so that's what we end up doing. So we had all the guys up the very north meet up with the guys that are north of England, and then had a place. And it's just asking around. We even had some of the people from like Claxo's area and stuff meeting up and sharing and stuff. Some people from Sheffield. Jonathan stayed in one of the houses.
But
So I think it's like you might not always see it like directly on like a Facebook public post. I need somewhere to stay, but you always, I think at least UK wise, you do tend to see like maybe these guys have a space, or hey, this group's traveling, and then people point you in the right direction to a group.
And I think that also, like you said, it's kind of daunting approaching people, like especially from like an American standpoint. A lot of people don't want to approach, be like, hey, can I crash on your hotel room floor or something like that, unless you know those people. So that kind of could be good for getting around in the community and just making friends, making connections, especially if there are other play groups around the country, to be like, hey, I'm friends with people in this group, I'm friends with people in this group. So no matter where it is, the regional would be located, you'd be like, okay, I know people in that area, maybe they can help me out. And you make a lot of those personal connections, so you're not having to reach out publicly as much. But going to what Connor said about having as much information as possible as early as possible, there are some people that have to give, at least here in the US, they have to give their work all of their planned vacation time at the beginning of the year. So January, you have to tell them when you're planning to take off throughout the whole year. So that's why if we're going into hey, here's our OP for 2026, we're going to drop this OP roadmap in January. If you've got all of that information, don't drip feed it. Just be like, here's where we're planning for the hotel, or the planning for the host city, and this is where the venues are going to be that we know of right now. Now, obviously, if things change, like a venue change because a place double booked or overbooked, that's understandable. But for, like, if we know this is the weekend we're aiming for, and maybe we need to change venues, try to keep it to that weekend and let us know it with as much time in advance as possible, so we can make plans or make groups to travel. Like, hey, I'm planning to go to this one. Who wants to get in this with me to either make the drive better or hotels cheaper, stuff like that. And you can plan that out as early as possible in the year.
So, should UVS be booking 2026 regionals now? So,
if they weren't already in discussions about it, I would be surprised.
No, I mean like finalizing it now. So when we get to December, they go, organized play 2026 is here. Starting March, we're going to be back in Denver. Then April, say we're going to be in Birmingham, and literally telling us where the actual location of these events is going to be at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Down to the actual venues. Like, UVS should...
At least the city. Like,
at the very least, the city. Like, say, instead of July, we're having a Midwest regional. Say July, Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll give me longer to question why you picked Louisville. But, I mean, at least then you'd have somewhere to start planning. Because I don't know if you know how big the U.S. actually is, but Midwest U.S. is mainland Europe. Where in mainland Europe are you planning to host this regional? It's really tough.
Yeah.
And especially if you're trying to plan flights or drives. I usually try to drive because it's cheaper, because I don't have to fly and then rent a car, because I'm not going to Uber everywhere, because I'm a boomer. Actually, I'm not a boomer, but I feel old.
That was one good thing about Albuquerque. It was like a 5-minute walk from the arrival gate to the hotel.
Yeah, I've noticed that with the Louisville Regional too. The hotel that the venue is at the Louisville airport. So my friends who weren't going to drive up with me, I said, hey, if you want to fly out there, I'll pick you up from the airport. You can crash in my room, kick me a couple bucks for the room, and then we can drive back together.
I believe Spain's in a dance studio?
Yeah, and it's not crazy far from the airport. It's not next door to it, but it's like a taxi away.
It's pretty good though.
That's good. So that seems to be a pattern of get it close to the airport so it makes travel easier, which I'm all for that. I think that's really a really good idea. So then, if they keep on with that pattern, if they tell us the city, we just kind of have to look around what's around the airports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
If that's what they're planning on doing, that helps us.
But it'd be like one of those open communication things. Like when Paul at the beginning of the year highlighted, this is what UVS's goals are for the year, and he was very direct with us, and it was one of the things that it's burnt into my head from this year, of Paul dropping this Facebook post that was like, this is what UVS's plans for the year are, and it was very clear, and they kind of started ticking stuff off. It's just said, rather than going, oh, it's going to be Midwest, it's like, okay, it's going to be, these are the cities it's going to be in. We can't give you the actual venues yet, but
this is the city we're planning on.
And then people can...
That makes it easier to plan, because even if it's like, like I said, if they're keeping this pattern of sticking close to an airport, does the city only have one airport? Cool. Within 5 miles of that area, that's probably where you're going to be. Or if there's 2 airports, you can just go around them, and you at least have a starting place for your plan. Yeah,
but you get things like Chelmsford and Nottingham and Sheffield, which don't have airports.
But
I'm talking about strictly for the North American ones, because that's what I can speak to as the dumb American on the podcast.
But even if we just had the cities like, oh, it's going to be in Cardiff or Birmingham or the Isle of Man, which is an island, but it's about the same size as a city at this point. And it'd just be good to...
you may not have airports, but you know what you have? Train stations.
Yes.
No, we don't. Not at the price. Not at the price. It is cheaper to fly than it is to get on a train here.
What Connor, you're under 30, just get a rail pass.
That is true. But no. Flights somehow have become like the way to travel. Like, it's actually cheaper for me to get a flight from Scotland down to like Manchester, then get a train across, than it is to just train all the way down.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But like, if the venue's going to be near a train station,
but even as long as it's within infrastructural places, you're sorted.
So I think if that's what they're planning on doing, especially if they make it known, hey, this is kind of what we're trying to do, it would help the players plan a lot better, and better planning means you could get more people.
So like a kind of a subtle hint, like the article goes up and it's going to be like, okay, these are the cities they're going to be in, and venue-wise, although we're trying to book it, we're going to try and keep it local, close to local transport and airports. Like, although they can't tell us directly, giving us hints enough that we can go, okay, if it's back in Albuquerque, chances are it's going to be back at the Marriott, because that's may not be because of the air conditioning situation, but it's right next to the airport.
Oh, that just reminds me that air conditioning's out at my work, and it's going to hit 100 every day this week. I work half in a warehouse, half in an office, so it's
fine. We've got you just come over to Scotland in November, and you'll get negative 100.
The air conditioning's always on.
If I could afford to travel to Scotland, I would, but I can't afford that because I'm a poor American.
I saw a great video that was talking about Americans talking about like weather and saying, oh, this weather's so harsh, and like US Marines talking about the harsh weather, and then going to Scotland and seeing kids playing in shorts in winter, be like, how did they do it? Like, it's like, oh yeah, this is where like our special forces come to train, and US Marines be like, I cannot handle this weather in Scotland. There's like kids running past them in shorts, playing. Like, yeah, Scotland's just built different.
Yeah, we're just built different.
You merely adopted the cold. I was born in it.
You'll never see a sun-dried tomato in Scotland.
You'll never see the sun in Scotland.
You'll never see the sun in Scotland. Yep.
You'll see a ball in the sky. Whether that's made of fire or ice is left undecided.
Yeah, John Panette had a great bit about performing 28 out of 30 days at a festival in Scotland. He's like, and it rained every day. So it was like Groundhog's Day. I'd wake up, I'd be in Scotland, and it'd be raining. And I'm like, I was calling up old girlfriends, take the curse off me.
The last Scotland joke I heard was like, Mock the Week 5 years ago, which is like, Frankie Boyle's like, you're now landing in Edinburgh. Please remember to set your clocks back to 1978.
It's very true. It's very true.
I like the Ed Byrne bit about how people in Scotland are great because they will abuse you in the hopes that you will abuse them back.
Yes.
Yep.
That's just
because I love you, Scotland, but you're ever so slightly psychotic.
That's just to lump you in with us for a second, Connor. That's just British humor.
Well, I think Ed Byrne's Irish, but yeah.
No, like the entirety of Britain is either our jokes are either self-deprecating or just in the hopes that you're going to say things back. Like when I was playing against Andrew Arrats in like round 4 or 5 in Albuquerque, we were having I was like just making jokes. He was like, he's just like laughing his head off, going, "You're so funny and so charismatic." Like, no, this is just British humor, mate. If you are a UK event, this will be happening on every single table.
I like a good barb match. It's fine.
Oh yeah. But yeah, we've been going for just under 2 hours. You guys have got work tomorrow. I've got to get up with Flynn. So yeah, thanks for the chat. It's been great. Like, I'm getting to hash out regionals. I don't think we've been too overcritical. I think everything we've said has been constructive and respectful to both TOs, the company, and everyone else out there. If anyone in the comments or watching the video has any kind of indications how you think regionals can be improved, or agrees or disagrees with anything we've said during the video, please do leave it in the comments below. I'll make sure that Connor and Cameron are made aware of any comments that pertain to them, so they can argue with you in my comments and increase my engagement.
No, I check comments. I may not watch the videos I'm on, but I'll check comments every now and then to see if anyone said anything.
That's perfectly fair. And for those of you who are unaware about Street Fighter 6, it drops July 18th in local stores. And if you're in Louisville, head over to Rochester and other vendors that will be there to pick up your copies and get your attacks that can be played in your opponent's turn. I really wish we had a shorter way to...
We do, but they're not going to commit to that right now.
Yeah,
It even says in the article, we're not committing to this.
if there was only a name that we could do to shut down attacks in your rival's turn.
Counterattacks.
Yeah, counterattack.
Attacks in your rival's turn. So it would be AIRT. Arty?
Airs?
Art? Attacks in your rival's turn is art.
Well, it's certainly not a science, I'll give you that much.
So we got science bros, now we need art bros. But
Just a bunch of people trying to do like dueling portraits of each other.
Yeah, I know, Colin, you've only just got here, but you can go and watch it tomorrow on YouTube. I'll be making sure to get it uploaded as soon as possible. And Connor, I believe you also make content yourself. Can you tell me where we can find you?
Yeah. So the two places you'll find is group content with the Daubers, but for personal stuff, which is card games and then non-card games, you'll find me at It's Just Seadog over on Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah, you play a lot of Dead by Daylight, and there are current
Dead by
drops.
Daylight's the main one.
There are current drops available for Dead by Daylight because I got notified that I'm eligible after watching one of your streams.
Nice, well done. Now you got to watch it.
Yeah. So,
Aye.
thanks for joining us, Connor. It's been great chatting with you again. We kind of just rehashed a lot of the stuff we talked about on Wednesday when I joined you on your stream. But everyone got to see our lovely faces this time.
That's fair.
As always, thank you, Cameron, for being here. Next week, depending on what drops in the news, it depends on what we're going to talk about. But we're probably going to just maybe talk about pet decks. It's something we haven't done in a while. Or maybe, we've done our attack and tag. Well, we could always do a Street Fighter tier list.
Jamie, Ryu, Chun-Li, Luke. There you go.
Oh, interesting.
Argue my hot take in the comments below.
Can we give Alex Lee at least one character that gets above an F ranking?
I mean, I don't know. What's he in?
Solo, at least in solo leveling, he plays.
He gets his own deck. He doesn't need anything more. He's got his own deck. Quit complaining.
So yeah, I did a video on this. Alec Lee is connected to every IP we're getting this year.
He hasn't been at a regional yet.
No, he
needs to put in the work. He needs to start pulling his own weight.
Represent.
Sun Jin Woo, of course. He played Kai in Wild Mount Wildlings from Critical Role. He voices Luke in Street Fighter. There's a YouTube video of him singing the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song in the voice of Luke from Street Fighter 6, which is That came out a few years ago, but somehow it's tied to this year. That's pathetic in its own mind. You can tell I've practiced his speech because I've said it a few times on this and in other videos. He played a pizza delivery person in the TMNT Mutant Mayhem trailer, and has just taken over one of the roles for voice acting in Guilty Gear after one of the other people is no longer able to do it. So yeah, Alex Lee is tied to every single one of the IPs we're getting this year. And
that's not including the 2 possible Challenger Series that we may or may not know about yet.
That's true.
We don't know about it.
One of them might just be an Alex Lee Challenger deck.
I was about to say, start crawling through what Alex Lee has done.
Oh,
New Brett conspiracy video coming soon.
I've already made this conspiracy video. It's already out there that Alex Lee's tied to everything. But I just remembered he's in Dandadan, and we forget a Dandadan Challenger. Because he plays GG in Dandadan. Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
That could happen.
And Dandadan starts against him. But yeah, so yeah. UVS, if you're watching, please let me know if Alex Lee's going to be in other stuff. I need to be mentally prepared for this. Mate, if everyone that's got events coming up this week, best of luck in your events. For anyone else who hasn't got events, go to UGN and find some events to play. And if not, set up your own casual events. You get 10 points for just setting up casual events. Everyone can do it, and that's 20 points that is being left on the table that people have access to, including myself. I don't do it as often enough.
Yeah, I need to do that too, just to rebuild my stock, just in case they drop more retro boxes.
Especially,
it turns out I thought I had a lot of points until they started putting retro boxes up for 100 or for 1,200 points.
Connor's doing something quite interesting. He has spent all of his points to experience the Redemption Store as a new player.
It's quite been miserable. I have 25 points. I was at 5, and then I realised that there was like a hike in points at one point, and I got extra points, and I went, can I get it? No, 100 and what is it? 120 is like the baseline entry.
120 is for one promo. Yes, you get.
I need to do a lot more weeklies.
You get
to find time off work.
60 for taking part in locals, which can be webcam because we have Patriot webcam, and there's Tam Cardwell's webcam for the Americans. Oceana, step up your game. I haven't got anything to plug here. And over that, like I said, casual events.
Split second, I thought "Step Up Your Game" was the title of their webcam thing. I was that is awesome. And then you're like, no, you just get your ass in here. I'm like, oh.
So Akihabara, I'm talking like 3-4 years ago. 3 years ago at this point, Akihabara did do Wednesday events, and they launched like 10 a.m. UK time, which was perfect for me. So I'd sit and play, and I was paying like $5 Australian dollars to take part in these events, fully knowing I was never getting my pricing back, and then they just kind of stopped. I was like, oh. But yeah, well,
man, Step Up Your Game is such a good title for like a card game, like deck building challenge or something.
Oh, instead of like how to handle Nick Reagan, it could be Step Up Your Game against Nick Reagan.
Nah, I still like how to handle better. Because I can save it quickly as HTH, and then it's fine.
I mean, Step Up Your Game is Sug.
It sounds like we're about to have a movie. That's what it is. It's the Universus the movie.
Universus movie. Step Up
Your Game.
Oh my! So
it's like those bad the dance movies like Step Up.
Yeah, that's literally what I was
Step
thinking.
Up Your Game.
Your local that's looking at getting into content creating. They could go from there. They could like document their competitive journey. Go from casual to competitive as stepping up their game.
See, he was starting that, and then he stopped. So I don't know. That's the whole thing. He's like, I want to start doing this. You know, who do I got to talk to start that? I'm like, well, it would help if you like filmed anything. He's like, yeah, don't call me out, man.
Colin says Step Up Your Game is the third movie in the Step Up franchise. I mean, I'd be more than down if Cameron is on stream. Playing Jamie, and then basically he goes, well, Jamie's a Brazilian kickboxer, which is dance fighting, so let's turn this into a dance off. It's just like you versus Nick Reagan in a dance off.
Except this cat don't dance. I don't dance. I've wanted to learn capoeira for a long time though, but I used to wear glasses, and when you're doing backflips, your glasses are just gonna fly off. But drunken fighting and capoeira are two of my favorite martial arts, so having a character that does both, I was all for it. That's why I said I was going to play Jamie no matter what he did.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you guys for being here. Connor, as always, you're welcome back anytime. We'll definitely have to try and get some games in. I want to make more content creator content, like versus stuff. Street Fighter seems like a great way to go. But we will actually wrap up here. We keep just vibing off each other. It's what problem when you get such cool and charismatic people on the stream with you, though. You just want to keep chatting. So I'm going to cut there. Please do like and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with everything that's going on. Go check out the Dobbers and It's Just Sea-Dog. And of course, if you're a new player looking to get up to date with the game, go check out UVS Hermit. They are your one-stop place to get all the information about all the keywords and abilities in the game, which will be updated with Drive. Probably not when this is on YouTube, but hopefully by the end of the week.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of the week. I still need to add Gauge as well because I realized that's missing from my retro.
Oh, that's retro. That's
keywords.
fine. No, retro's fine.
That's got to come out first.
It's been the one that's been on
Canonically.
the film list, but it keeps getting kicked back because who cares about retro?
It's fine. You can
But-
tie it in because it's a Drive Gauge.
True. But yeah, it will be updated hopefully by the end of the week. TM.
Depending on work schedule and if he's dying in the heat. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Connor,
Catch you later on, everyone.
and it's goodbye from Cameron.
Au revoir.
Bye.